Without further ado, and I am excited, I've heard a lot of good things about Homestead High School student Austin Cao, who has a message to you from the student body.
Before I begin, I just wanted to thank Dr. Means for inviting me here today. I never thought I'd be standing in front of all the teachers in the district. And it goes without saying, but I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for all the teachers that have helped me along the way. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers in our district for 11 awesome years, and hopefully one more. Thank you. $49,338,723 seconds. That's how much time a student spends in the classroom, from the very first bell on the first day of kindergarten to the last bell right before high school graduation. Now, quick disclaimer, I could not have done that math without first taking multivariable calculus with Mr. Ordnance. Oh, and no worries, Mr. O. I showed my work right here. So within those 49 million seconds, teachers, whether they're teachers from Homestead or teachers from a school halfway around the world, are given the considerably daunting task of transforming cute, nervous 6-year-olds into capable adults, ready to take on the world. Admittedly, this is a task made easier by the understanding, mature, and sophisticated nature of teenagers. Now, 49 million seconds isn't really that much time at all. My class only has 4 million seconds left, yet childhood felt like yesterday. But we know so much now. We know how US corporations evolved in the middle of the 20th century. We know how the Oedipal complex can be interpreted through Shakespeare. We know how we can calculate the position and momentum of a particle, but always at the expense of the other's precision. Moreover, we know how to take a topic, research it, and make it our own. We know how to use critical thinking to solve problems. And we know how to stand in front of others, even people older than you, and speak confidently. Yet 12 years ago, we were just cute, nervous 6-year-olds. 12 years ago, I was a nervous 6-year-old. 12 years ago, I was a kid who drew chalk lines on the blacktop at school and threw a fit whenever anyone crossed into my rectangle. In the 6th grade, our English class was required to memorize and perform a poem or prose piece in front of the entire class. And I don't think I've ever been so afraid of something in my entire life. The irony was that my piece was a humorous description of uncommon phobias. And my fear of speaking in front of others was only magnified as I started to think of all the things that could go wrong. And that made me so sick to my stomach that when I practiced for my English teacher, Mrs. Scharmweber, I forgot half the lines and was too shy to do any of the gestures. And that was just one person in my audience. What would 22 of my classmates say? I remember the unexpected smile on her face when I awkwardly told her that I just couldn't do this, that I wouldn't do this. And I remember her telling me that phobias, whether they're glossophobia, the fear of public speaking, or epitophobia, the fear of teenagers, or dipnophobia, the fear of dinner conversations, that they all start with a doubt, an uncertainty in yourself or the world around you. And that conquering a phobia starts with building the confidence to face it, explore it, and remove the uncertainty from it. And while she may not remember me, the awkward 6th grader with a phobia that everyone has, her words had a tremendous effect on how I approach this horrible monster in my mind. And while she may not know it, that moment I shared with her was instrumental in building my own confidence and carrying me to where I am today. Although I'm sure my performance in front of the class was horrendous, filled with ums and stutters and weird jerking movements that I call gestures, it didn't matter to me. You can never truly improve without first facing your shortcomings with confidence, and teachers are the ones who give us that push. So we all know that teachers make students better people and guide them in ways no other adult can. When I moved to the district in the 7th grade, I scored less than a 50% on the math placement test. My pretext for this was that it was before the TI-84 Plus came out. Mrs. Schley and Mrs. Olson saw what I didn't, that while I could think mathematically, I still wasn't up to speed on the material. In the 8th grade, I remember Mrs. Knobb's audiobook quality voices for Of Mice and Men really made the book come alive for me. And even today, when reading Shakespeare or Dickens, I still whisper the good lines out loud. My parents sometimes give me the look that says, "I thought you were a junior in high school." But in high school, I've realized that teachers can and continue to do things that extend far beyond classroom instruction. For example, Mr. Ordonance taught us more than just the simple multiplication I used in my introduction. He also taught us division. But math has always been a traditionally straightforward subject. Memorize this, repeat it, memorize that. After working with Mr. O for 4 years, I realized that one of his goals is to show his students an appreciation of concepts and not numbers, applications, not just formulas. And while an intrinsic love of mathematics is not required for the AP Calculus exam, Mr. Ordonance still strives to impart a real interest in the material through his lessons. In the long term, teachers' passion for their subject can rub off on their students, sometimes unknowingly. For example, next year, he's going to have to deal with me for 2 trimesters of independent study. And despite the fact that neither of us have any understanding of linear algebra or discrete mathematics, I think we still trust each other to keep moving, to keep exploring, and to keep learning. And finally, teachers are the gatekeepers of dreams. Junior year is the year when we look towards the future, when we worry about standardized tests, when we talk about college, and when we do not stay up to 3 a.m. studying for finals, because that is a bad, unhealthy decision. Junior year is when people start asking you, "So what do you want to do?" And I found out that saying, "I want to be an astronaut," simply doesn't cut it anymore, although it would be really cool. Anyways, I think that along with many other kids, I may have found an answer. When my AP chemistry teacher, Mrs. Schultz, introduced the National Chemistry Olympiad to our class last year, I was excited. After all, making it through all the rounds meant an all-expense-paid trip to Moscow, aka Whitestone, aka the Kremlin, aka the Third Rome. I did advance to the national competition, and even though I was seated dead last for my region, Mrs. Schultz didn't give up on me. We spent many hours working together, both in and out of school. She recalled tidbits of information she last learned in college, and I couldn't help but wonder what motivated her to eagerly welcome me into her room when I knocked on her door at 5 p.m. the afternoon before the competition. And while I didn't make the team that went to Moscow or bring back any trophies, I did bring back something that is still with me today. It's something that guided me through the chemistry independent study I did with Mrs. Schultz last year. It's what pushed me to haphazardly send in an application to a science research program this summer. And it's what pushed me to get up at 7 a.m. every day this summer and go to lab. And I owe this something to a teacher who believed in me and motivated me to become the person I am today. And as just one student out of 700 million other students worldwide, I owe who I am as a human being, my knowledge, my passions, my aspirations, to every teacher I've had in the past 12 years. I hope you understand just how important every one of these relationships are to every student, and how crucial you are to shaping us, naive us, into something better, so that we can create something greater. And the truth is, I don't think the value of teachers can be defined by scores or dollar signs or arrows. In the larger scope, in the societal scope, a simple quantity cannot express what teachers can do. Their value can only be defined by those cute, nervous 6-year-olds who one day grow up to become the writers, engineers, artists, doctors, thinkers, leaders, and teachers of tomorrow. And that is, while we students may not be able to express it very well, that is what we owe you. So on behalf of every student, I say thank you. And on behalf of the class of 2014, I say there are 4,111,560 seconds left. Make them count.